What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Cooking with Adrienne Latrice. So today I'm going to be cooking some spaghetti, which is one of my favorite dishes. I love spaghetti. So here's the very simple ingredients that we're going to be using. I love to use the angel hair pasta. It actually turns out a little bit better than that thicker pasta, but either one will work just fine. My husband just loved the ground turkey. Although, of course, you could use ground beef as well. I would recommend at least 3 pounds to give you a nice amount of spaghetti. And then I use some very classic seasoning like onion powder, garlic salt, of course, regular salt, black pepper. I love to top it off with a little parmesan cheese. And then you could use any kind of various salsas, basically. So any kind that you like. I really love the super chunky mushroom and different flavors with garlics and onions. Notice that I have 3 just to give it a nice various flavor. And then I have my peppers. Normally I'll just use a green bell pepper and an onion, but sometimes you could throw in those colorful peppers too for that additional flavor. And I love to add a little minced garlic for flavor as well. And this is it. Let me get started and show you guys how to make some really delicious spaghetti that will have your family nice and satisfied. Okay, so a part of the prepping process, you want to go ahead and get a pot of water boiling. And what I've done was I added a little bit of salt and vegetable oil to the pot. That way the water could boil better with the salt. And also with the vegetable oil, it'll just prevent your noodles from sticking when it's time to boil those. Okay, so what I've done was went ahead and cut up my onion, green pepper, red pepper. And I put my ground turkey into a frying pan or skillet. You could turn your fire on medium and make sure you monitor it. But now I'm going to go ahead and just add a little bit of onion powder. Listen, I don't really measure. It's all about just adding a little bit at first. And then when it get done, taste it. That's my rule of thumb. I don't normally measure, but you guys are more than welcome to measure. If I was to put a measurement on these seasonings, I would just simply say like maybe 2 tablespoons or 1 tablespoon to start with. And then you can always go back and taste it. Use those taste buds, honey. Okay, some black pepper. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and add a little salt. And, ooh, salt is very potent, so I would definitely recommend going easy on the salt at first. Now I have all of my seasonings. You can use a spoon or a spatula or anything that you choose to kind of mix it with at this point. So I'm going to go ahead and stir this up and let it cook for a little bit and check back in with you guys. So I'm checking back in with my water while the meat is cooking. Don't forget to continuously stir your meat and also your spaghetti noodles once you add it. But look how nice this water is boiling. So this is the perfect time to go ahead and add those noodles in. You could do, okay, so I put my noodles in there whole, which is fine. Make sure you keep that fire turned up. But basically, when it continues to cook, it's going to shrink down. And you could use any sort of spoon to go ahead and let it cook for a moment and then just start pushing it down. As you can see how it's getting pretty soft on both ends, or on one end. So I'm able to push the other end down in the hot water. And it's really that simple. So with that vegetable oil that I added at first, is going to prevent this from sticking really bad. Okay, I would say about after 6 to 8 minutes, my noodles are already done. Remember, angel hair cooks a lot faster, and I have my heat turned up pretty high. So again, I just tested by grabbing one little piece of noodle and then I break it apart. And I'm just doing this for the tutorial. Normally I wouldn't do it over my pot. But as you can see, it broke apart easily. And then I taste it. So I just chewed a piece of noodle. And it's actually very tender, very soft. So these are definitely done. What I normally do is leave it in the water. Okay, you guys. So I'm checking back in with my ground turkey. As you can see, ground turkey doesn't necessarily brown the same way as ground beef. So it's going to look a little different, but you could tell when ground turkey is done simply by eliminating all of the pink. Once you eliminate all of the pink, I would recommend cooking it a little bit longer just to make sure it's done before you taste it. The last thing you want to do is taste some raw meat. Okay, I'm checking back in with the meat. As you can see, there's not a lot of fat. Ground turkey do give a lot less fat than ground beef. And also, there's no more pink. So I would say it's safe to taste it to see at this stage if you want to add any more seasoning. But also, we're going to add a little bit of seasoning when we put the sauce in later. So you can decide what works best for you. It's all about what makes your taste buds happy. So for me personally, I am going to taste it right now just to see early on if it's too bland or if I need to add a little bit more. So I'm going to take my meat and literally pour it inside of the strainer so all of the fat and grease in your meat could drain out. That way you could just have nothing but yummy meat and not a lot of fat and grease. Okay, so as you can see here, I literally drained all of my meat out of the pan using like a little scooper. And I took it nice and slow and easy. Last thing you want to do is spill all your meat all over the place. So at this point, I'm going to take the meat out of my strainer. And then I'm going to put it back in my pan. And then we'll... Okay, listen, you guys. I just got really excited. I literally went through my freezer and I found some of these 3 cheese garlic knots. And I was like, oh, snap. So not only do we get to eat some delicious spaghetti, but we're going to top it off with some garlic bread. So these are pretty simple. It tells you literally on the back, where is it, what to do. Heat your oven to 350. I literally just put some aluminum foil. It's a quick, easy cleanup for me. I place it on my oven tray and it says cook for roughly 5 minutes. Okay, at this point, if you can see, I drained all of my grease out and my fat, so the meat is nice and ready to be sauced up. So now I'm going to add my sauces. I like to start by adding a little bit of all 3 at first. Stir it and see how saucy you would like for it to be. Okay, so here's what it looked like. I've added a little bit of each type of sauce. And I just topped it off with a little bit of Parmesan cheese. Now just stir it in. And if you notice, as I'm stirring it in, it's not that saucy yet, which is okay. You want to give it a good mixture first, or give it a good mix first to see how much sauce you prefer. And like I mentioned, we like it pretty saucy, so I would definitely go back and add more salsa to my meat. But then you can just kind of get an idea of what it's going to look like. Because again, all right, so after several times I've added more salsa, Parmesan, and seasoning, I tasted it. The salsa is ready to go. That my noodles kind of got dry as I was finishing up my sauce. So if that happens to you, just simply add a little bit more water in it and stir it. It's not a big deal. Noodles do dry out sometimes. Even if you keep it left over in the fridge, you can pull it out the next day and just run some fresh water over it and stir it up, and then your noodles will bounce back into shape. So now we're going to go ahead and make a plate and enjoy. All right, so what I do is I put the noodles at the bottom, put some of my meat sauce on top, and I have my yummy garlic bread on the side. So this is it. Some delicious spaghetti, quick and simple to make. I hope you guys enjoy cooking with Adrienne Latrice. I am about to dig in. I appreciate all of your support. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and share. And thank you for cooking with Adrienne Latrice. See ya.